Is Turkish Airlines Europe's best airline and has the best business class? Apparently, all these people think so. After my experience with Turkish Airlines today, I have an answer that would probably upset some people, but I will be very honest with this experience today to help you stay better informed. First, we'll be going through their award-winning flagship lounge, trying on their poster child seat, enjoying their 5-star meal, and be showered with all their gifts. Sounds like a great journey already, but let's find out today, is Turkish Airlines Europe's best or overrated? Welcome to Istanbul International Airport. Pro tip for you, try to take the Havayi's bus rather than the metro or subway, as the station is pretty far outside the terminal. If you have lots of luggages, it's a no-brainer. But once you got here, the Turkish Airlines dedicated premium entrance is marked number 5, somewhere on the left side-ish. I mean, you can technically use any entrance and still be able to get to the check-in desk, but hey, if you want to have the full Turkish Airlines experience, this is where you start your journey. Once you got into the building, the business class check-in section is just ahead. Many airlines don't even have dedicated lanes for their first class passengers, let alone business class. So you'll be glad to know Turkish Airlines has the entire closed-off section for its business class passengers. It is like walking into a first class check-in, with nice waiting lounge on the left side and check-in counters on the right. I don't know in what occasion I'll be sitting around here, especially there's a crazy amazing lounge waiting for me past the security later. Speaking of which, it's just one beeline ahead. Everything is so streamlined here, and just like that, we are in. Boy, it's a hella massive terminal. So even if you have no lounge access, there are plenty of things to do and places to shop and eat around. Speaking of eating, I have previously uploaded a walkthrough video of the IGA Lounge in this airport. It's the go-to lounge for everyone else who has no access to SkyTeam or Star Alliance lounges. You can even pay to get in, so go check it out, link in the description. But today, we'll be checking out the Turkish Airlines Lounge, which is said to be the best in the world. We'll see about that. Now take note that the first entrance you see here is only for people who require special assistance. For the majority of us, keep walking down and you eventually see the escalator here instead. Oof, where shall we even start? I'm not gonna walk you through the entire lounge today. I have a separate video for that, so go help yourself, but let me just show you the highlights in the lounge. First of all, it's one of the larger business class lounge out there. It has everything that you need and some extra stuff, namely golf and VR flight simulator. When it comes to food, oh my, too much. Most of the vegetarian and healthy options are located somewhere in the middle section, whereas all the grill and fried stuff, meat included, are scattered around in the lounge. Refrigerators are everywhere as well, so you won't go thirsty in this lounge, unless that's what you're going for. There are even dedicated tea and coffee stations. And if you go to the one towards the far side of the lounge, you'll also see a lifelong supply of desserts. If you're on diet or keto, don't come anywhere near here. You'll feel pretty crappy looking at them. But if you feed your kids with all this sugar, you'll be happy to know that there's a playground here for your kids to fend off all their sugar high. Lastly, check out their beautiful shower suites on the other side. Another pro tip here for you, some suites are larger, so ask the attendant to give you the larger one if you wish. The rooms are also located here, but they're reserved for connecting passengers with a specific set of criteria to be offered one, namely your flights and connection duration. Very specific, I'll talk about them in the lounge walkthrough video, but now it's time to go to the gate. Today, I'll be flying in the A350 to Seattle in this 12.5 hours flight. The business class cabin occupies the entire front cabin between the first and second sets of exits. Their 787 has an almost identical structure here as well with 2 less seats. These are the seats that Turkish Airlines advertised its business class with, despite there are also these 2 other types of long-haul seats available. This is the one that you may occasionally get downgraded into if they decide to swap their planes, which happened to me 2 years ago. You can check out my review of that flight later. Then there are these really nice seats that they didn't ask for. They only have 4 planes with these seats, originally meant to be delivered to Ex-Aeroflot, but we all know what happened, so Turkish Airlines gladly took them instead. But back to these seats, they may look familiar to you, as Singapore Airlines also uses these very same seats for their regional flights, less than 5 hours usually. There's a big reason for that, which I'll show you later. Now let me just quickly pop into economy class behind and take a look. 2 things stood out to me. One is this pretty nice looking IFE screen. Gone were the days with those crappy looking ones. Then there's also Amenity Kits, apparently even for economy passengers. I wonder what's inside. But the economy tour is over, back to business. Today, I'm seated in 8 kilo, the last seat on the right side. I would normally go for the front bulkhead seat, but since it's closer to the aisle and the back seat is closer to the window, I've chosen the latter, and it's also a lot easier for me to film my flight this way. Let's do the obligatory seat tour now. Beside the headrest are the lights in 3 different positions, a little extra but cool. The interior of the pod is exactly like the ones found in Singapore Airlines, the stitching and the material making it very soft to touch. A small storage space is beside you, and you can even lock it with passcode. Then inside you'll find a headphone. I'll test it out later. Here are the slippers the airline gave us. They are really good, so make sure to bring them home with you. Then here are all the buttons that I will elbow into later. The upper set is mainly to control your seat, and the IFE remote control is below it. The elbow rest here can be lowered like this, creating more space during the lie flat position later, which is very important as I'll explain later. Literature pocket is over here. Now check this out, if you opt for the true window seats like mine, make sure that you can get in and out of this space. Just look at how narrow this is. If you're a larger person, don't go for this window seat, go for the one closer to the aisle instead. I've seen people getting stuck in Singapore Airlines before with these seats. Then there's the hook here to hang whatever you want. The monitor can be tilted down like this, useful when in lying position. The tray table can be pulled up below the screen and flip open like that. You can leave your seat when the tray table is extended out like this though, unless you unfold it by half and you may be able to squeeze through. And then there's the footrest. Your eyes and mind video are not tricking you. It is really that narrow, but I'll show you later in lying position whether this is wide enough or not. Then another level below to put your shoes. You see this big gap here? These seats were meant for 787, and since the A350 is wider, there is more space here. What a waste of the real estate. And then I think someone left her the eye mask here. Purely speculation, it might be from the Amenity Kit from the economy cabin. Alright, finally settling down, and I was offered their famous lemonade. It's time to chill now. The flight safety video started playing around this time. For such a highly regarded airline, I expected a lot more from the safety video. Even the US carriers and Air India, for God's sake, got this part done right. So Turkish Airlines, you really have some work to be done here. Well, at least they have individual air nozzles in the A350s to calm me down. It should be illegal for airlines not to have these. Then moments later, I saw the onboard chef taking our meal order, and I haven't looked at the menus yet, so let's do that now. There's a menu for the food and one for the wine, and I think I like how they make the menu like brochures. Interesting. But anyway, the English menu is in the middle column. Most of the items will be pushed out with the trolley, and you get to mix and match, whereas the entree has to be decided now. I'll show you what I pick later. Judging by the options, looks like it's gonna be an amazing in-flight dining today. And here's the wine list. Now, I don't know much about wine, so feel free to tell me which one of these were supposed to be great. Usually, I just go for the oldest one. And I was lucky that they actually served port wine in this flight. Port wine and ice wine are my absolute favorite. We'll try some later. And it's time for Pushback. Funny that we mentioned Aeroflot just now, and here they are. No comment. Then there's Thai Airway here, which by the way, I did an extensive series last year. Go check out that first class video, it's pretty good. And then tons of Turkish airline planes around us. Well, I suppose we are in their hub airport here. So just to let you know what are the videos I'm working on next, I have the first class series between ANA, Etihad and Qatar, and also the brand new Lufthansa Allegris Business Suite and Condo Prime Seat, and so many more. So if you don't want to miss all these videos, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. But anyway, we are ready for takeoff. We'll talk more later. Alright, let's kickstart more product reviews for today. For this flight, I got the Ferragamo Amenity Kit in this light blue color. The first item, we have the facial mist to keep your face fresh and moist. Then we have some overkill looking earplugs and a capsule. Next, we have the moisturizing lotion, lip balm, and toothpaste. Not sure what a toothbrush is. And here we have a little leaflet showing you the 4 colors of this series of amenity kits. And then a very questionable looking eye mask. Then we have the color matching pairs of socks. Everything is in light blue color. That's pretty neat. Oh, and a toothbrush. There you go. Let me put everything nicely for a photo op. Not too bad, right? Then there's a headphone. It has a very soft finish to it, and the sound quality was pretty nice. Then there's the in-flight entertainment system. While it's not groundbreaking in this day and age, it gets the job done. I mean, have you seen those new TV screens on Lufthansa and Air France new planes? Those are like super premium. But fear not, Turkish Airlines has also announced that their new seats will be coming out soon, but more on that later. Back to the IFE here. The movie selection was alright, you'll find something to watch eventually, but I ended up just raw dogging the flight map. Bet you have no idea what that means. Google it. You know what, actually, let's not do that. Alright, first round of food is here, looking real good. But just know that I'm seated last on my side. The presentation isn't all that great at this point on the trolley, but they did try their best to make it as good looking as possible with whatever they have left. Everything tasted really good, and I regret editing this video in the middle of the night. And here comes the entree. I ordered the kebab, perfect portion. The food seems to keep coming, and you gotta pace yourself well with Turkish food and its hospitality. And shortly after, the dessert trolley came by. Can't say no to dessert, a little bit of everything please. And everything it is, saying goodbye to all my diet, if I even have one to start with. Before heading to bed, let's make a quick trip to the lavatory. Lots of toiletry stuff here, not too bad, and it has more space than most lavatory nowadays. It is kept pretty tidy, and my favorite feature is the step-on garbage bin. Just please don't step on it with your barefoot. Now back to my seat, and the cabin crew came by to slot in the seat cover for me. Very much appreciated. And now, with a touch of a button, and 30 seconds later, I have a flat bed here. Let me place the pillow properly. Another pro tip here, go and steal another pillow from an empty seat somewhere, as the pillow is a little soft, having 2 will be much better. Pretty snazzy looking here. There are literally 50 shades of grey around this bed. Alright, it's time for me to lie down for once. Been filming all day. You should see how many times I was walking back and forth in the lounge to get a perfect shot. So make sure to go watch the lounge video later and drop a like too while you're at it. And now, let's check out the leg space. Yeah, it's not great. It's like those throne seats in the middle of some planes. Really narrow on both the vertical and the horizontal sides. The only great part about the legroom is the depth. I'm 6 feet tall and I could barely touch the end. You may be fine if you are a back sleeper, but I'm a side sleeper, so this is gonna be a rough night for me. or day, whatever time it is. This is the only time I wish this seat was their old 777s. It was frankly wasn't too bad if nobody sits beside you. I have a video of those 777s too if you want to compare both seats. And not just the leg space, even the shoulder space wasn't all that great. It's also quite narrow. This is why I mentioned earlier that you should push down your armrest. Despite having done that, it's still pretty cramped. So I wasn't able to sleep much, and few hours later, okay, I'll stop. But the light slowly illuminates, mimicking the sunrise sky color. Other people are starting to wake up as well. And soon enough, the pre-landing meal is here. I got the beef flatbread, tasted pretty alright, and then I was served a plate of smoked salmon. Now I don't recall seeing it on the menu, nor was I asked what would I like for my meal, so my guess is that there wasn't enough options for everyone. Everything was wiped clean, and they had to find some left over for me. Just speculating, I guess I would never find out. Alright, now comes the juicy part. How much did I pay for this flight? If you were to find a one-way business class with Turkish Airlines, if you are lucky, you sometimes can get it for around $2,000 and around $3,000 for round trip, also depending on where you are departing from. But since I use points, which is the best currency to use, generally speaking, Star Alliance flights I would recommend using Aeroplan from Air Canada, and that will cost between 70 to 90,000 points, depending on which part of North America you are flying to or from. But if you use Turkish Airlines points, and if you can find their Saver Award space, you only need 65,000 points instead, and you can transfer your points from Citibank or Capital One in the US. However, I did not pay any of these prices. I was lucky that I booked it using Turkish Airlines points before the devaluation prior to beginning of 2024. Even though my flight was in the summer of 2024, I booked almost a year in advance, and I used 45,000 points instead, and with around $250 in tax and fuel surcharge. That's a pretty sweet deal in today's crazy points economy. Even though it requires a lot more points nowadays, Turkish Airlines points are still going to be more useful when it comes to flying Turkish Airlines business class crossing the Atlantic, if you are only flying between North America and Turkey. Otherwise, Aeroplan may still be more useful when it comes to connecting onwards to elsewhere. So how was the flight? In full honesty, I didn't like the seat too much when it comes to long-haul flights. There's a reason why Singapore Airlines only use these seats for their regional flights, and maybe a couple of medium hauls. But the reason is clear, it's a pretty tight seat. While the seat itself is pretty decent to sit on, I can't say the same for the lying flat part. Just a reminder that, of course, I appreciate sitting in business class, but video like this is to help viewers to be better informed when choosing which airline to fly with. Especially, there are so many options out there nowadays. Now, having tried the two types of Turkish Airlines long-haul business class seats, I don't have a clear answer which is better. For solo traveler, I would say this is slightly better for the privacy. But if you have a companion, then I don't think the older seats were all that bad. So next time, if you got downgraded into these ones here, take a deep breath, it's gonna be alright. Because for everything else, they were still between above average to excellent. And the best part of my Turkish Airlines experience, you may have guessed by now, is their lounge in Istanbul Airport. It was visually appealing, gastronomically satisfying, and with lots of bells and whistles. So if you fly out of Istanbul Airport in a Star Alliance flight in business or with status, give yourself a few more hours to enjoy your time there. Overall, the whole business class experience was great and earns a solid B+ from me. But is Turkish Airlines the best in Europe? It may be an easy yes few years ago and before, but now that many airlines in Western Europe are catching up, such as the new business class seats from Finnair, Air France and Lufthansa, and honestly, they have also improved their service quality so much. Turkish Airlines is the one that is lagging behind today, mainly because of their seats. But like I said earlier, they have already announced their new seats and will soon to replace all their current 777 planes with their old business class seats. When that day comes, you can count on Turkish Airlines regaining its title of best in Europe again. But it's another debate whether Turkey is part of Europe or not. And let's not get there today. We have now landed in the Everlush Seattle, where I'll be connecting onwards to Vancouver. My choice of lounge in this airport would be their new Centurion lounge. I have made a separate video of this lounge before, go have a look, and check out my previous Turkish Airlines flight for more context. Or you can check out the Turkish Airlines lounge instead. Lots of options for you. With that said, thanks for watching till the end. See you soon.